Jared pulling FroKnowsPhoto.com, and this is your Photo News Fix. This fix is brought to you by Artlist. If you've ever wondered where your favorite creators like me find fresh, unique music and sound effects for our videos, wonder no more, because we're all probably using the same thing at this point, which is Artlist. With over 80,000 songs and sound effects, you're never gonna run out of unique and fresh songs and sounds. And guess what? It's super easy to find exactly what you're looking for. You can search songs by mood, video theme, genre, instruments, as well as more. And when it comes to sound effects, you've got everything from those epic transitions to water to fire, and even the wonderful sounds of boings and dings. For example, I live in Philly, so Dan, can we get that I-95 bridge collapsing sound effect out? Now let's counter that with an upbeat soundtrack. Thanks, Dan. That's awesome. There's so much to choose from, and it's super easy to find something great. For more information and to get 2 months free when you sign up for a year membership, head on over to bit.ly/FroArtlist. Now let's start off with something from Sony Alpha Rumors, and maybe they'll get something right for the first time in 2023. They're saying that Sony will announce the a6700 on July 12th, and after that there will be 3 new full-frame E-mount cameras within 4 or 5 months. Now if that's the case, we're gonna have our work cut out for us, and that means a lot of editing by Dan and Steven.
So exciting.
But what might those full-frame cameras be? Well, one might be the long-awaited A9 III, which Sony Alpha Rumors sources claim will have the fastest autofocus, fastest readout, and fastest frames per second of all mirrorless cameras currently out on the market. Now, when the original A9 came out, it was revolutionary for what it offered, and a ton of sports shooters still use it and the A9 II.
Also.
So what might the other 2 full-frame cameras be? I'd have to guess an A1 II and an A7 V. The A7 IV, I think, was a huge swing and a miss for Sony. The A7 V must have the new AI autofocusing processor, get a much faster readout speed, as well as faster shooting in silent to compete with Canon's comparably priced offerings. For the Nikon fan people wondering why I didn't say Nikon right there, well, it's simple.
Makes a Nikon look like a disposable.
They don't have a camera below the Z8 that I would purchase right now if autofocus was paramount, which for me it is. Anyway, we'll have to wait and see if Sony Alpha Rumors got this one right or not. What do you think? Let me know down below. Next up, it looks like Canon's plans for their new PowerShot V camera lineup are heating up.
So hot.
Recently at the Photo Next show, which I don't even know where that is, Canon showed off a PowerShot 180 as well as a 360 as well as VR gear. Now, according to Canon Rumors, Canon had said they want to be at the forefront of VR. Wasn't the forefront like 5 years ago? 8! When it actually never materialized? All I can think about when reading 180 and 360 is Nikon's failed key mission project. Now that was a dumb failure. Oh, phone call. I wonder who that could be. Hello?
How dare you!
Ah, it's Greta Thunberg with Nikon PR.
How dare you say that about Nikon? But you're right.
Okay.
It was a failure. Just like we're failing at protecting
I gotta
our
go,
planet.
Greta.
Oh, no.
Bye! I mean, these cameras do follow a similar design to the first PowerShot V camera that we've already seen, but doesn't Canon know VR isn't gonna take off?
Now, whichever format porno backs.
Kind of like their NFT storefront, which I mentioned a few months back. Did you know they actually killed off that idea after I made my photo news story, which means they probably were listening and were like, well, we should probably get rid of this. Hey Canon, what are you thinking? Not only are you years late on this, but it's simply a dumb place to focus your energy. Now I think this product is DOA. Let's hope it doesn't take focus away from the R1 and other more important products that Canon is working on, at least more important to me, that is, because I'm selfish like that. Now speaking of selfish, be sure to download the latest episode of our podcast called Frodo's Photo Raw Talk, wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes come out every Friday. And finally, only 18 months after releasing the Nikon Z9, Nikon has released yet another major firmware update. I say major because generally you don't see firmware updates go from 1.0 to 4.0 in under 2 years. Usually minor updates, which, let's be honest, most of the updates for the Z9 sans the 2.0 update have been minor so far. Normally you would get something like 2.1 to 2.2, not a 2.1 to 3 and 3.1 to 4.
What does it all mean?
Nonetheless, this update does add some very unique features that other companies will probably try and copy in the not too distant future. The biggest update in 4.0 is something called auto capture, and it's actually unique and cool. Think of it as a built-in camera trap.
Bees in the trap.
For those who don't know, a camera trap is something wildlife photographers use to capture elusive animals. When the animal crosses in front of the trap,
Bees in the trap.
it triggers the camera to take photos or to capture video. That's basically what auto capture is doing in the Z9. You can set the camera to only be triggered when certain focusing points are activated or a subject comes from a certain direction. You can set it to take bursts of stills for a specific amount of time, or even have it activate video capture. But there's no trigger for sound just yet. Now that would be a cool feature if they use the microphones built in to trigger the camera to take pictures. Like I said, this is a really unique and useful feature for some people who need it. Maybe I'll try this out at a Phillies game and see how it does. Some other updates include customizable shutter sounds, which is honestly pretty pointless, focus enhancements for 3D tracking. Oh, how about that? 3D tracking needed to be fixed. I wonder who said that in the first place. More custom controls, improved manual focus UI, and playback enhancements are all minor. Some video recording functions, which you can read all about. I want to talk about the stills. And the pre-release buffer has been expanded. Now, I think pre-release is the future for all cameras, and Nikon has a jump start. The pre-release buffer has been expanded from 30 to 300 seconds, but still doesn't allow for RAW shooting, which I think Canon or Sony will get to before Nikon ever does. Now, keep in mind, this is just an update to the Z9, but Nikon does say that some of these features will find their way in the Z8 in a future firmware update, probably called firmware 8.0. Anyway, there you have it. That's your photo news fix. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.